Look at all this nature we got out here. We got a Sands. Sandy, say hi. You haven't made a camera appearance in a while. All the Sands. We got a couple horses over there. It's naturey as hell. All right, so today should be a day of good progress. We have the heads from the machine shop. We have all the gaskets we need to put the engine together. We should be able to get most everything done today. Hold on, my hand's cold. This water bottle in my hand is cold. I need to put it down. Most of it should have everything. Knowing me, we're missing something. That's just pretty normal, standard procedure for me, but we should have everything to put the motor the rest of the way together. Very exciting. Ben's over here doing me out of things, ripping apart this sweet MB. So we're not making it a cart?
What?
We're not making it a cart?
I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay. Ben never knows what he's doing, to be honest. So one of the big struggles with the shop is there's no good way to put an audio system in it. If there was an audio system big enough to hear through the whole shop, it would just be blasting to all the neighbors. I don't want to be that guy. I just can't be that guy. So the only real way to do it is with something like this, a Bluetooth speaker. And in my past experience, you know, they've never really been loud enough, but this Cove speaker is super loud. I usually have to turn it down because I feel like I'm being that guy with just this one speaker. It's crazy. But it's perfect because I just set it on my tool cart. I can take it around with me. It seems super solid. I've dropped it a bunch. I toss it around and it doesn't have any issues. Connects to my phone, no problems. I mean, very, very easy to work with. It's got like a nice volume feature. Some old school Lil Wayne. All right, that's all you guys get because of YouTube's copyright rules. But yeah, super loud, has bass. It's a really, really awesome speaker. And Cove was awesome enough to give you guys a discount code. So if you use my link in the description or use the code Taylordrifts, either of those will get you 65% off. So huge thanks to Cove for sponsoring this video. And I really appreciate you guys going and supporting the companies that support us. You guys supporting them and what they do is what allows them to support us and what we do. Like rebuilding this Junkyard motor that was supposed to be perfectly fine. You know, all these fun added expenses. So before I can get back to listening to music, we gotta wait till I have a montage for that so I can play my music. Give you guys a rundown of what we got here. So, got our heads back from the machine shop. So I sent these off to have the valves done. I had them hot tank them, which I've had them hot tanked before. And like there's been oil deposits and stuff left. These are like brand new looking. They did a great job on these. They installed my Pac 1218 springs. They installed my new valve seals. They cut the valves. They decked the surface. I mean, these came out awesome. They're literally like brand new heads. So I'm really, really hyped about that because we shouldn't have any issues with the heads. You know, we should be solid with the heads, which is good. We don't, you know, bottom end's still questionable. That's kind of left up to me, whether I did my job right or not, but at least one thing should be good. We've got our rocker arms. These are off the old motor as well. We did the trunnion upgrade. I don't know if I'm calling that trunnion and that's wrong. Trunnion upgrade. Basically the stock rocker arms. Do I have some? Yeah, I put them over here. Yeah, grab a stock one for you guys. So it's just a pressed in bearing cap. And then there's just like basically loose roller bearings in that cap. Whereas these are a sealed bearing and then they have this C-clip. So with this, there's nothing to prevent that cap from falling off, just the fact that it's pressed in. So what'll happen is at high RPM, cap will fall off, needle bearings go off through the motor, sucked up in the oil pickup, bad news there. Whereas this, it has a C-clip to keep it from falling apart. And the stronger, bigger bearing. So definitely a worthwhile upgrade for a motor that's going to live at higher RPM. We already had it done, so worked out. For gaskets, I just use AC Delco head gaskets. It's factory equipment. AC Delco, I mean, you're literally like buying the factory GM gaskets, and they're factory multi-layer steel. So to me, it's pretty much a no-brainer. And I also went with AC Delco on the oil pan gasket. Pretty much all the important gaskets are AC Delco because it's basically like rebuilding it with factory stuff. So seems like the best call to me. Yeah, I keep having this moment where I'm like, dude, have I done everything I need to do to put the heads on? Am I forgetting something? And I keep thinking I'm forgetting something. I'm so sure that I'm forgetting something. And I just kind of like stood here for like 20 minutes listening to music like, all right, I'm gonna figure out what I forgot and then we're gonna put the heads on and like, I think we're good. Knowing me, we'll have to pull the heads back off, but I think we're good. I don't think there's anything else we need to do with the heads off. Okay, so we're just gonna get to work. head surface is cleaned. Walk deck surface is cleaned. Brake clean, both of them. They both had oil on them. So now they are as clean and dry as I can get them. So now it is time to install. We are about ready to let her rip. I'm just kind of, like I said, I feel like I'm forgetting something. So if I haven't forgotten anything, let's go. Oh man, got one head on. I will say, like, every time I do head studs, first two passes, I'm like, man, this really isn't bad. This is like way easier than I remembered. I must have got stronger. That's what it is. I'm so much stronger now. And then you get to the third pass, and by the end of the third pass, you're sweating because it's tiring. It gets a little tiring, especially trying to. I always do it on an engine stand, and you're trying to keep the engine stand from turning while you're torquing it. I mean, it's not like a big deal. It's not hard. It's just like one of those things where you wouldn't think it would be as much of a physical activity as it is, but it is. So, yeah, man, it looks beautiful. Oh, you gotta love freshly machined, clean parts. Looks so good. All right, we're gonna throw the other head on there, then we can throw the rocker arms and push rods in. I need to measure for my push rod length, but we can at least run these for now. Really easy to swap. Push rods will just pull the valve cover off, pull the rocker arms off, so, and swap them. So we'll probably put the stock ones back in for now. Measure one of them, and then figure it out from there. Okay, back to work. Heads are on. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. These motors, I mean, it's like, I don't want to say this because then people are going to be like, oh, because they knew it was going to break. But these motors are so, engines for those of you nerds out there, they're so easy to work with. It's just like GM designed it to where everything comes apart and goes together easy and everything's like in a logical place. I don't know, it just makes sense. There's some engines I've built and engines I've worked on where it's like, why did you put this here? Like maybe it made a little more sense for some other reason, but it's impossible to service, and these engines are just not that way. I mean, the same goes for the gaskets. All the gaskets, I've talked about this before, but all the gaskets are this style where they're like a metal frame with a rubber O-ring seal basically, instead of crappy paper gaskets or RTV, which is annoying as hell. They're just all around very, very easy motors to work on. So we are going to go ahead and throw like the rock arms on, the intake manifold, the valve covers, etc. One thing I wanted to do today, I wanted to get the front and rear cover on, the oil pan on, and all that, but there's this thing called a dumbbell back here, and basically it's like a little thing that, long story short, forces oil to go through the filter, right? So for us, we have an external filter. Our dry sump pump is pumping basically to the port that would be after the oil has gone through the filter and then pumping it through the engine. So that dumbbell is what keeps our dry sump oil supply from going to the front where the factory oil pump is. So it's important. So I've ordered a billet one. It's got tighter tolerances. I guess the factory ones are a little loose and they allow like some oil to seep by. It's like 500 microns. These are tighter. They allow like 20 microns, which is what a normal oil filter is, etc. So we don't have to worry about oil seeping by really either way, but the billet one's just gonna be better because that is, again, what's gonna keep our oil from going where it doesn't really need to go. So I want to get that, but I can't put the rear cover on until I put that in, and I can't put the pan on like officially until I put the covers on. So I think what we're gonna do for that, mock the pan up, mock the dry sump pump up, or bolt the dry sump pump up, and start making our lines. So then we just like unbolt it, bolt it when we get the covers. That's kind of my rough plan. I don't know. Remember earlier, I don't know if you guys heard me, but I said hopefully I have all the parts. Probably not. I do not. As usual, this is my life. Every time. It's hard, and people wonder, oh, this takes so long. You take so long on projects. Like, dude, I'm like a one-man team. I got to work on all the stuff myself. I got to edit the videos myself. I got to order all the parts myself and arrange all that stuff myself. So, like, you know, it's easy for me to overlook something. You know, it's easy for me, you know, when I think about something like that, I'm like, oh, should I order this? You know, and then it's like one simple $20 part, you know, is going to delay me a couple days because it's a domino effect. I can't do all these other things until that thing's done. So that's just kind of like how it works and what happens. You know, and once you've done something numerous times, the same project, you start to learn all the little stuff you need. But, you know, this is my first time doing a dry sump. So learning as I go. So anyway, let's go back to work. We'll do rocker arms, push rods, intake, all the fun stuff, all the easy stuff. This is the easy part. We're gonna slam these push rods back in. Like I said, we are gonna be doing hardened push rods. I need to measure them, and then this way we can get it done, make sure the timing's all good, and all that stuff. And if they don't come in by the time we're ready to start the car, we can at least start it with these. And then, like I said, it's very easy. Just take the rocker arms off, pull them out to change them. So might as well throw them in now, get it the rest of the way assembled, and then mess with the rest later. That's what I mean by this motor's so serviceable. Like as soon as you take your rocker arms off, you have no, like all the valves are shut. There's no way that a piston could hit the valve because you're spinning the motor over and it's out of time or anything. Like, and that's like a beautiful thing, man. I feel like all the people who complain and say like, oh, you shouldn't tighten that with an impact, either like don't have an impact or have never used an impact, because you can tell. Like when you tighten these down and it needs to compress the spring, you'll hear the way it sounds as it's compressing the spring, and then when it bottoms out, you hear that too. And it's so easy to stop at like 10, 15 foot-pounds, you know, with the right impact, and like it's not an issue. I don't understand it. Well, we will go back and torque them down now. Now we do the other side. Easy peasy. That's gonna be the word of the day. Easy peasy. It's just so easy. I should not say that. Should not say that. Take it back. All right, so now we'll spin the motor over slowly. Make sure that there's no interferences. So if we somehow got the timing wrong, highly unlikely, it's really hard to mess it up. You know, we'll know a valve will hit a piston and we will stop rotating. We're still in time. Intake manifold next. I guess we can go ahead and put the steam port back on. Steam port time. I gotta remember which one's which. Let's see. All right, so we gotta make sure to tighten these down well now, the actual fittings, because my first like 2 breakdowns or problems when we got this thing running was that these fittings just weren't quite tight enough. It's always kind of on cheaper AN fittings. You don't really know like how tight is too tight. You don't want to strip them or screw them up. So I generally err on the side of softer, but we had them come loose twice, the back one and the front one, causing like a leak, and it wanted to overheat and stuff. So we're gonna make sure it doesn't happen. All right, steam port installed. What's next? What can we do now? I guess we'll go ahead, flip it over, throw the pan on just to mock it up, and then start working on making the lines for the dry sump. We can get the dry sump pump bolted up because I want to do that. I want to figure out and make my first 2 lines. I'll show you guys when we get there. So if you guys didn't see my dry sump video, I did get a dry sump for the Miata. I weighed the pros and cons, and Aviad Oil Systems makes like a really affordable kit. If you guys want to know more about that, we explain the differences and stuff, you can watch that video. I'll link it below and like at the end. But for now, what we're gonna do is put the pan on, put the pump on, and we can start figuring out our scavenge lines from the pan to the pump. It's gonna look sick. So we're only temporarily putting the pan on because, like I said, I don't have the front covers on, and I can't put the front cover on until I get the dumbbell. So we can't like actually install the pan, but we can at least test fit it for what we need to do. Totally fine. All right, pan's on. Goes pretty quick when there's only 2 bolts you're putting on. Ta-da! easy enough. I do want to flip it over and just see how cool it looks with the dry sump pan and the dry sump and the rest of this stuff on it. Look at that. Straight pimpin'. Like I said, dry sump has always been a nerd, car nerd fantasy for me. So to finally have one is like a surreal feeling. And it's just dope. It's just dope. Those of you that understand will understand. Those of you who don't will probably have already clicked off this video because you're gonna be like, why is a dry sump cool? I don't care about a dry sump. Dry sumps are lame. All right, we'll back over and start mocking up and making lines. Show you guys what we got for that. So when it came to fittings, I really wanted to go with Deechworks, but I knew their main thing was fuel systems, and that was like what they made their fittings for. So that people buying all Deechworks, you know, pump and injectors and all that stuff would be able to source pretty much their entire fuel system from them, which is what I did with the Miata, and it worked flawlessly. I've had great luck with it. And I've worked with a lot of different fittings, you know, from every end of the price spectrum, from super cheap, super expensive, middle of the road. And the Deechworks are like by far the nicest ones I'd use. Like the coating doesn't scratch. They feel really solid. The threads are nice and clean. There's no slop in the threads like I've seen with a lot of other ones. And I just really wanted to go with them on something as important as my oiling system. So I messaged them and made sure that they were compatible with an oiling system. They gave me the green light, said, yep, they're good. You know, our main thing is fuel, but they will work for that. So I just went with them because this is not something I wanted to skimp out on. So we've got tons of fittings here. We have everything we need to complete our high pressure side of the oil system. They unfortunately don't make Dash 12, so we weren't able to use them on absolutely everything, but pretty much all the important stuff, we're able to use them. We've also got 40 feet of their stainless braided hose. We went with stainless this time instead of the black nylon because we need good abrasion resistance because it will be like running through the car. But yeah, super hyped that I was able to use their fittings because I just fell in love with them when I did the fuel system on the Miata. So we're gonna make our first 2 dry sump lines. This is like making it real, guys. It's like really happening. It's not just parts on my shelf. Like we're making lines. Oh boy, look at that. Oh my God. I've been staring at these parts on my freaking workbench for like a month now, and to see them on the engine with these freaking fittings, like, having a car nerdgasm. Like, so cool, so cool. But I did realize one pitfall in our plan. These were the only lines that I assumed I could make out of the car and without having to really check anything. But I'm realizing that might have some interference with the steering rack. We might have to run them and kind of loop around or something. So we need to get the engine off the stand and onto the subframe over there so we can kind of see how everything clears and figure out what fitting angle and stuff we need to run. So for now, that's pretty much where we're at. But at least we can see what it looks like with fittings. Just imagine there's some cool stainless line here. I can't really hoist the engine up and get it into the subframe by myself. I need someone to man the hoist while I guide it in, and Ben is out of town picking up some car parts or something. So that is going to be it for tonight. We did get a lot done though, so I'm pretty happy with that. If we had that dog bone, man, if I had just ordered that in anticipation of potentially needing to use it, we could have got the motor pretty much ready to go in. But that's just how things go. That's just how projects work, and it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. A couple days wait, not the end of the world. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Goodbye, guys.